Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Your Handmade Business Television. That is YHB TV for short, or as our transcription service likes to call it, White HGTV. I am Isaac Watson. Over here is Sharon Fain, and we have Carolyn Caffelle. Is it Caffelle or Caffelle?
It's Caffelle.
It is Caffelle. We were having this. I forgot to ask. Anyway, Carolyn Caffelle is here with us, which we are very excited for today. We are back for another episode. We hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving holiday, and along with that, a successful Black Friday weekend / Cyber Monday / Small Business Saturday, and all the sales all the time, kicking off the holidays. If you are new to YHB TV, we're glad to have you. Thank you for joining us. This is a weekly series of short video broadcasts that Sharon and I host as part of our business, Academy of Handmade, which is an educational community for makers. And we are here to go a little bit deeper into the monthly topics that we set aside for our podcast and our private community and our newsletter. And so each week we go a little bit deeper into the theme for the month. Sometimes we bring on guests like we have today, and just have a casual conversation about what's on our mind about a particular topic, and answer your questions and things like that. So if you are brand new to Crowdcast for the very first time, you will see a chat area on the right of the screen next to the videos. You can chat and say hello. Please give us a shout out and tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you make, so we can get a sense for who we have watching. And then as we go through things, if you think of a question you want to ask Carolyn or Sharon or I, you can click the Ask a Question button below the video and submit your question there. Trying to think if there's any housekeeping otherwise that I need to do, and I don't think there is. So say hello, please, and we'll give you a shout out. And with that, I think I'm going to dive into today's topic. So this month's theme, November, it's the last day of November. So this is our last day of talking about self-care in general. And this week on this episode of YHB TV, we are talking all about being nice to yourself in business. So in past weeks, we've talked about craft show burnout, listening to your body. Sharon had a great conversation with Carrie Berkey about holiday de-stressing with your own self-care practice. And then today we're going to talk about being nice to yourself in business. So to do that, we've brought on our friend Carolyn Caffelle, who is from The Wishing Elephant. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Carolyn started making cheeky bodysuits for her son in 2009 and quickly found her passion for quirky baby costumes. What started as a true kitchen table company is now a successful small business. Since those first days of the bodysuits, she's expanded the Wishing Elephant's line to include costumes, dress-ups, and accessories. Carolyn is proud to say that the Wishing Elephant has been featured on Martha Stewart, Rachel Ray Magazine, and BuzzFeed. And she feels lucky to have had the opportunity to meet Martha Stewart in person, the amazing team at Etsy, and to see her work featured in various online and print publications. So Carolyn, thank you so much for joining us today. We are excited to have you here. I know Sharon and you have been in a lot of conversation over the past week about things. So I'm going to turn it over to Sharon and she can kick things off.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to have Carolyn here. She, first of all, if you don't know her stuff, first, I just say go to her Instagram, because when you go to it, she must just have the best job ever, because it's just babies all the time. It's adorable children, it's even more adorable costumes, just so cute everywhere. I feel like they have to be the funnest, also probably the most interesting photo shoots that you do. It's just babies, babies, babies.
All the time.
So make sure to check out her Instagram and say hello there. But if if you were with us for the State of Making in March, you might have remember Carolyn too and her business. And so she runs a pretty successful costume design business, and she can be with us here today partly because her really busy season is Halloween. So thank you so much for that, Carolyn. We know everyone else is kind of probably in a crazy mad dash to finish everything. But so we wanted to talk a little bit about being nice to yourself, and you had a few good ideas, and generally maybe like your philosophy about being nice to yourself in your business.
I think the best way to describe it is like work hard, play hard. And I think probably overall what I try to do is really take advantage of free time and the freedom that having this job allows you in the off season.
Yes, totally. So for your business, it's just you mostly, or do you have okay. So it's mostly you, you're your own boss, yep. And you're learning to be nice to yourself as your own boss. Yep. So you mentioned one thing that you like to do is make your business like a fun environment. Yep. So how do you kind of do that, and what does that do for you?
So sometimes it's just like playing fun music. Sometimes I listen to funny podcasts or like interesting podcasts. I've done in the past, I've set up like a little TV or like an iPad that can go while I'm working, but that's kind of hard because you get distracted by good shows. So I try not to do that as much, but sometimes like my husband will come down if I'm working at night, he'll come down and he'll kind of hang out and chat with me, or my kids will come down and help me package things. I just basically whatever makes it not feel like work as much as possible. That's what I try to do.
So you kind of mentioned like music and dancing and doing anything like that. When you're in a busy season, how do you make sure that you sort of take those opportunities to keep things light in your business?
You just have to make a conscious choice to stay positive, and I think it's really important to take breaks when you start to feel really stressed. And if that's like a dance break, which I do a lot, or just be aware of when you start to get super stressed out or things feel like too much, and stop and do something different, or make it fun, or remind yourself why you're doing it. Because there are a lot more positives than negatives. And I know when things are stressful and it's your busy season, you can really feel like, why am I doing this? And just remind yourself all the benefits that you really have.
Carolyn, can we get real for a second? What is your current jam to dance to?
I don't actually have a jam. I love the Grateful Dead. So I'm like one of those hippie flailers. That's what I do.
There it is. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
That's awesome. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit recently, because I think one of the things that a busy season can bring on is like we can get very like stressed out, and very, this is usually the time when, if we're going to get a lot of complaints, it's like this time of the year is like when like customers become extra needy and extra particular, and these things are very hard, and it can make you as a person start to feel like you're doing something wrong, or it's just starts to not feel like fun. Recently you talked about, you shared on your page and stuff that you had actually, like a big box retailer steal some of your photos, which I feel like is one of those things where you can start to sort of beat up on yourself when it's a busy season, when it's a time when you're, I think like extra critical of yourself and have more pressure for maybe perfection and stuff. And making very tight deadlines and stuff. So for you, when something like that happened, like how did you stay nice to yourself and not, what was your initial shock, I guess, and like response, and like maybe what was also like how you were able to sort of work through that and not beat up yourself too badly about it?
So the first time that this ever happened was probably 5 years ago. Then it was all housed on AliExpress or Alibaba. So I was aware of it then. And I was unable to do anything based on the copyright laws. You can hire a lawyer to fight there, but I think what you have to do is you have to hire a Chinese lawyer, and it gets really expensive and it's really involved. And I kind of made the decision of it's housed there. That's a different buyer than is my buyer. I'm not worried about it. But just recently, I've actually in the last couple of months, I've seen them pop up on, so these are Chinese resellers, or not resellers, China, I guess, what do we want to call them? Selling counterfeit?
Chinese mass,
right.
Yeah, counterfeit.
But they're using my photos, and I found them on Etsy, I found them on Amazon and Walmart in the last 3 months. So I was surprised to see it in the US because we have strict copyright laws. You can't do that. I didn't get upset about it though, because I had dealt with it. The initial 5 years ago, that was a picture of my daughter. And I was really upset about that because it felt personal. This was just customer photos. They had granted me permission to use their photos in my listing. So it wasn't as personal, but what I did was just send a DMCA, and they have to take it down when it's a US company. I don't beat myself up about it because I think that this is something that we're all gonna deal with. And I don't think there's anything you can proactively do. It's more of a response to when you find it. You have to search proactively for the listings, but you have to be reactive. You can't really do anything to be proactive. So did I cover it all?
No, that was good. That was good. Awesome. Thanks. Okay. So there were a couple of other things that you talked about, how you're nice to yourself, especially when it gets hectic. You talked about outsourcing your life. And so maybe you want to talk a little bit about the things that you like to outsource.
My favorite thing, and it's a new thing, is I do Hannaford to go. And so I can just order all my groceries online. It's like $5, and then I just go pick it up. I don't have to bring my kids with me. I don't have to spend the hour in the grocery store, and I can quote grocery shop at midnight or 1 a.m. whenever you have time. And last year I did HelloFresh for the Halloween season. I didn't love it, to be honest, but it definitely helped. I didn't have to do any meal planning. It just showed up and I cooked it. So that was really helpful. Do you want me to tell you my other ones too? Sorry. I just dropped my cell phone.
I'm curious, what are some of the,
Uh-oh, Isaac?
He's thinking really hard.
I know, right? This is a very awkward pose to get frozen into.
Do you want me to just tell you some of the other things that I utilize?
Yeah, that would be good.
So I think, let's see. So like a house cleaner or a dog sitter or a babysitter, someone to like, I don't have a dog, but like you could hire someone to walk your dog for you. I use Amazon Prime, like it's my job. What else do I do? Oh, and then I talk to my family and my friends beforehand, like before the season gets crazy. And I say, like, you need to help me pick up some slack, whether it's like shuttling kids to soccer practice or my husband doing more laundry than he usually does, or my kids pulling a little more weight than they usually have to. Those are kind of the tricks I use. I think that's pretty much it. Like if I can pay someone to do something during that time, I find it worth it. Mowing the lawn, like that kind of stuff.
So I think that's really important because I think asking for help is one that we often resist a lot on. And I feel like people are very willing to help you if, especially during this time. And so like, if you just ask people, friends, relatives, whoever, neighbors, they're usually actually more, accommodating than we like to think that people are actually nicer than.
Yeah, totally. It's our own, at least for me, it's my own hang up, not being able to ask for help. It's just kind of become necessary. And I think what I did this year that I haven't done in the past is pre-warn everyone, like remind my kids, remind my husband, like we are going into this season where I'm going to be crazy. So cut me some slack and help out.
I think that's such a good idea too. Like letting people know, like, this is what's coming. It's going to be busy, like already mentally prepared. Like you need to help mommy more. Like I need more help during this time. Like I think that's really good than even just, in the moment asking for the help, because it gets people ready. So Isaac is still having.
I'm frozen now. Oh no. And then it says I'm not.
Oh. Yeah. Like, oop, that's what's going on. Sorry, buddy.
I think also I warned my friends this year. I was like, I love you, but I'm not going to see you for 2 months. So don't get offended when I'm not like calling you or texting you back or hanging out with you, because I don't have time. But come November, we can go out to lunch anytime you want, or we can hang out. I have that freedom. So.
Yeah. No, I think that's so smart. And I think that also then prevents you from the guilt of having to say no to certain things all the time too, because I think it's really easy that, we feel like we're just, I just keep blowing off my friends or whatever, like I can't do things, but it's like, it's a job and it's like a serious thing that, you have to just hunker down with sometimes, and you get flexibility other times, but you can't have that always. So, okay. So another thing that you talked about is escaping from work, and what does that look like for you?
Well, honestly, for me, it can be just like sitting down and watching a mindless TV show. Honestly, I sleep. Like when I get stressed out, I'm like, I need to go to bed. That's just how I respond. So I would say I escape by sleeping for sure. Or like going for a walk, just getting out of the house. My studio is in my house. So sometimes I just have to leave and do something. I think this year, during my busy season, I went to Target like 3 times just to walk around, because I was like, I need to be somewhere that's kind of mindless, and walking around Target looking at all the stuff you can spend all your money on was the perfect thing for me.
Isaac's back.
There he is. You're here.
Are we
Sorry about that. My Wi-Fi's acting up strangely.
It's okay. You're back now. Your pose was just really fun, though. I don't know if you saw what you got frozen on. It was this.
Yeah.
Very
I was making a lot of faces trying to figure that out too. I was kind of hoping that a bunch of just random weird faces would...
Nope, didn't happen.
So what did I miss?
Escaping. We were escaping.
We're talking about escaping and why that's just sometimes necessary from work. What were you going to ask her before you got cut off?
Well, had been talking about the outsourcing, and I was curious if there's anything business-wise that you outsource outside of outsourcing personal life stuff.
I would outsource. So one year I outsourced customer service. That was not a good choice, because it just wasn't easy enough to like train in that small period of time. So I have people who help me during Halloween, but I would say my least favorite chore is shipping, and that I always have someone shipping for me. And then I have specific items that I hate producing. I have those. And then I think as long as you can afford it, outsource as much as you can business-wise. or make a list of like, what do you hate the most? Because that's going to stress you out the most, right? Mm-hmm. So like, what's number one? What do you hate? Get rid of that somehow.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think we're getting to the end of the half hour. I don't know if there's anything else you thought we should touch on, Isaac, or if you wanted to add anything, Carolyn.
I think something that you guys provide, so I was hooked up with an accountability partner, Michelle, from you guys like last year, I think. We still chat every Friday. Yeah, I love her. She is such a resource. You guys, she's like an untapped resource. She's amazing. Has helped me so
Michelle
much.
Baines?
Solano.
Oh, Michelle Solano.
Pretty collected. Yeah,
okay.
She's awesome. She's a firecracker. But I would say like having someone that I call it being an armchair therapist, having someone that you can kind of unload on that understands, because like my husband doesn't want to hear it. My friends don't want to hear it. And not only do they not want to hear it, they don't really get it. So if you can find someone on the Academy of Handmade that will like help you through this time, and just like a lot of the times Michelle and I are accountability partners and we just end up like chatting and kind of like getting that business stuff off our shoulders or off our back. So I would say if you can find someone, and I think if you're in this group, you should be able to connect with someone that's an invaluable resource.
Awesome. That's so exciting to know. I think it's in a lot of ways, having somebody like that is like the substitute for the water cooler at work, where you just kind of like chat with your colleagues and you can talk about what's bugging you, or you can talk about whatever. It doesn't really matter, but just having that kind of social interaction instead of just working all the time can be really, really beneficial. Gives your mind a break a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A friend and I would joke that we would working for ourselves and everything, that we just needed to put like a mirror in front of ourselves so that when like something weird happened or like bizarre happened, like we could just give ourselves the look of like have that reciprocated back.
Yeah.
Sometimes like something happens and you're like, oh my gosh, nobody else is here to understand how bizarre this is or how weird this is, or like talk through like with another person to be like, did you see this? How is this happening?
Yeah. I have to say that's like the greatest thing about working with Sharon is that she and I can just like text back and forth all the time and be like, can you believe this? Or oh, check this out, or whatever. And it's just a nice way to stay connected and stay sane.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I think we'll be wrapping this up. If you are watching this on the replay, make sure you join us next week. So for December, we're only going to be having 2 YHB TVs. Next week, we'll be talking about, what are you talking about? You wrote it down.
Captive to the past.
Not being captive to the past, and we're going to be talking about our predictions for 2018.
Ooh.
So Isaac and I are going to start working on those. But we're taking a break for the holidays after that, and also slightly just like no one's paying attention. So it's already getting to the point where the attention spans are very short right now. So there's that, and then it's also going to be combined with January. So when you sign up for December, you're also signing up for January.
And you can do that with the green button below the video. Because
right below, yes, sign up for that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Carolyn, for being here with us. It was a fun chat, and I'm glad that you're still probably still a little bit busy, I'm guessing. Yeah. But I'm glad you made it through your busy maniac season, and I hope everyone else is working through that too and is able to be nice to themselves in all of this, and remember to breathe and take breaks and veg out sometimes. So
and sleep.
Thank you. Yes. And please take care of yourselves and get some good rest so you're not producing garbage products.
Right. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was fun.
Of course. Thank you. All right. We'll see you all later.
Bye.